Yo, welcome to Hard Pass. I am your host, Jacques Slade. Today on the show, we've got LeBron teaming up with Cenat, Jalen Green going for greener pastures, the Nike Jaw 3 on Nike by You, and of course, we have our Hard Pass. All right, let's start the show with some hot takes. So, LeBron James, he was on Cenat's Mafiathon 3 live stream this week, and yeah, that happened. I'm not going to pretend that I watched more than 30 seconds worth of highlights of the hour-long appearance. I just wanted to see what Kai's reaction would be to the Nike LeBron 23, and not surprisingly, he was pumped. Look, as much as people might yearn for the old Jacques Slade that just did unboxings like they yearn for the old Kanye, it's a different time, man. I still do unboxings from time to time, but hey, what's important for LeBron is to tap into the younger demo. He's going to need it if he wants kids to still be interested in his brand after he decides to finally hang it up, which, given his conditioning, might be anywhere between next season and the year 2065. If there's one thing we've learned from the past several years when it comes to outreach, is that you have to reach the kids where they are, even if it's content that you normally would not consume. And on the relative scale of streamers, YouTubers, and podcasters you want to be on, LeBron is not going to do much better than Kai. And he can easily do so much worse. I guess this appearance also answers the question about people that question whether Cenat's relationship with Nike is still strong. If you don't remember, the streamer signed a deal with the swoosh last year to mixed results. Let's see. There was the promotion of the Air Max 1 Poly, the unintentional leaking by Nike to a Kai stream where he was speaking with OnlyFans models, and this LeBron promo. No way LeBron went rogue and just went on Kai's stream. Nike and LeBron set this up because they know Kai's reach, and hey, that $200,000 Audemars Piguet watch that LeBron gave to a person that's not part of his inner circle, wouldn't be shocked if that was line one in the marketing budget. Congrats to Kai on 1 million active subs, Mafiathon 3 bringing in all sorts of guests like Mariah Carey, Kevin Hart, Mariah Carey, Ice Spice, co-writer, please stop writing Mariah Carey. She's not going to answer your question if she still has that Michael Jordan Wizards dress, and a whole bunch of other traditional celebrities who are, again, meeting the kids where they are. Moving on. Jalen Green is no longer with Adidas as he has reportedly turned down a lucrative extension with the brand to become a sneaker free agent. Unless he already has something lined up and we're just waiting on an official announcement, we could see Green on a Jalen Brown-like run wearing sneakers from different brands for a season or two before ultimately making a decision. Notice I didn't mention the late Kobe Bryant, the go-to name for iconic sneaker free agents. Could you imagine the Kobe fans, of which I am one of them, going ballistic for having the nerve to compare Jalen Green to our beloved Black Mamba? I can, and that's why I went with Jalen Brown. And the reality is, Jalen Green's potential free agency does have a lot more in common with Jalen Brown's because there's more options on the table. As cool as Kobe's free agency was, it seems silly in retrospect to think he was going to go anywhere but Nike. Reebok tried, but Kobe probably already had set in his mind what he wanted to do and just enjoyed grabbing PEs from every brand for that 1 year. With Green, there's so many different paths he can take. Leaving a lucrative extension at Adidas sounds like a bet on yourself moment where Adidas saw Green at a certain level, but he thinks otherwise. A lot of people are quick to assume he's going to Nike, but I don't know about that. Maybe he sees himself as the face of a brand, or at the very least, a signature athlete. If he joins Nike or Jordan brand, the potential for a signature shoe is slim. Converse is a possibility, but recently minted NBA MVP and champion Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the undisputed center for their world right now for the foreseeable future. Reebok is on the rebound, and they could use an NBA star to match the star power they have with Angel Reese in the WNBA. New Balance already has Kawhi Leonard, but if anybody's next up at that brand, it's Cooper Flag. So Green might never get higher than the spots occupied by Jamal Murray or Tyrese Maxey there. Puma all of a sudden has a stacked card with LaMelo Ball, Tyrese Halliburton, and Breanna Stewart, but I guess Green could make an impact there on the lifestyle front. Skechers might throw him a bag, but I'm just not sure that's the outcome his camp was looking for when they turned down the 3 stripes. A leap to a Chinese brand is not out of the question, especially since that would tie him closer to the Philippines, a country that already adores him for his half Filipino roots. Li-Ning, Anta, 361, the brand that Austin Reeves reps that I always have trouble pronouncing, Rigorer, I don't know. I could see them jumping at the chance to sign an NBA player with Asian lineage. Co-writer low-key hopes he takes the path less traveled since no one's done it in 40 years and signs with Crosby so he can become the next Black Superman following in the footsteps of Billy Ray Bates. That is such a deep-cut co-writer. Who is going to know that besides Filipinos over the age of 45? Thank you. But anyway, thank you to all our Kababanyans out there. We see you in the viewing stats. You always represent for us, and we love it. Anyways, looking forward to Jalen's sneaker free agency, especially if it's hilariously out of date by the time this goes live and he's already signed with the brand or does a Jalen Brown and makes his own brand. Hey, if Bill Nye can co-sign 741 Performance, Dave Bautista could do the same for a Filipino-owned Jalen Green brand. Just think about it. So, the 30th anniversary of the Air Jordan 11 is here. Yes. The same age as millennials who now own air fryers, 401ks, and at least 3 world's best cat mom mugs. They just announced the whole thing last Monday, and the first 2 of the 9 sneakers that are part of the celebration will have already been released by the time this video goes live. We've already talked about the pack in depth on the Too Hard to Pass podcast. Check out new episodes Tuesdays at 2. And man, our thoughts of them have not changed. And it looks like the community is not feeling the celebration as well. It has opened our eyes to one thing, though. People love Gamma 11s. If you look at the comments on the socials, everybody seems to be bagging on the whole pack except for the Gammas. It is a dramatic babyface turn for the Gammas as they were not the most beloved when they released back in 2013. I mean, I was outside, co-writer was outside, and the consensus was these Black Jordan with hits of Jacksonville Jaguar looking ass blue, green, and gold was not on par with your OGs and cool grays. But now the kids who grew up with Gammas are calling them OGs, which is what happens with time. Today's trash is tomorrow's cult classic. Just ask Crocs or Nickelback or Guy Fieri. One day you're the punchline, the next year America's Flavortown dad. The lesson? Some of these 11s will be forgotten, but others will be remembered so fondly that in 15 years, sneakerheads will be begging for retros. And that's the inevitable passage of time. Terrifying, comforting, and deeply, deeply annoying. All right, so our pick of the week is the Nike Bayou Nike Ja 3. It's available now for $145. Now, normally we'd go for a sneaker that hasn't been released yet, but hey, we have to give props to Nike for making the Ja 3 available on the Nike Bayou platform. You know, it's been a while since Nike has had a bona fide hit on Nike Bayou. I remember when Dunks were still popping and Sneakerhead crashing the servers from all of the orders whenever Dunks would be available. Sure, the actual customization options were severely limited, but that did not stop people from trying to get them. We've seen Sabrinas on there and some KDs and Giannis freaks, but the Jaws, they're a different energy. If it weren't the Nike LeBron 23, the Ja 3 would easily win an award for which Nike signature shoes best symbolizes their respective athlete. And that extends to the Nike Bayou options. I wish there were more than 7 options to customize on the sneaker, but the fact that you can go mismatching with the sneakers is an A+ decision to the Nike team. The colors could also be more extensive, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was just the first wave of the start of the NBA season and we get special edition options in the coming months. It's time for this week's Hard Pass, where we take a look at something in the culture that just needs to go, like associating Kanye West with the sneakers of his past. Now, that's probably going to upset some people who still rock with Kanye, but allow us to explain. In this week's latest iteration of Co-Writer, seriously? You need to stop scanning Reddit for inspiration. He found a lost sneakerhead named Exibu who wondered aloud, are Yeezys dead? Not surprisingly, the response from the peanut gallery was yes, because reasons. And as you might expect, the reasons varied from the hype being dead to changing tastes in sneakers to people moving on because they found out that Kanye was a Nazi. Don't take my word for it. Kanye said it himself on social media. Whether he's backpedaled on that stance since is irrelevant without the genuine reflection and change. But look, it is what it is. I can understand why someone would be done with the man we all used to admire and respect for his musical genius and sixth sense for sneaker trends. Anyways, the Redditor was conflicted about whether they should get rid of the Yeezys or to keep going and pick some more needs for the collection. Now, this one had a bit more of a unified stance. While Kanye has probably gone too far, that should not play a factor in anybody's decision to keep or unload their Yeezys. While some people have chosen to no longer wear Yeezys because of Kanye's heel turn, they do not begrudge anybody who wears them. It's no different than people who were done with the late Hulk Hogan after years of backstage politicking and caught on camera racism finally revealed his true self. That group of people might be over him, but they're not going to waste time judging those who are still caught up in the fantasy and drink the real American beer he was shilling right before he passed. I personally would never be down for that, and Co-Writer would rather drink an open can of Pabst Blue Ribbon that's been left out in the backyard for a week, but hey, if you're still into the red and yellow or the NW era Hulkster, whatever, go sing Real American and not think of Kenny Powers. You are within your rights to do so. When it comes to Kanye, we actually want to take it one step further. Stop associating Kanye with Yeezys. We're talking about Adidas Yeezys, Nike Yeezys, Louis Vuitton Yeezys, Bathing Ape Yeezys, anything that isn't part of his current run, which involves socks with 2 pieces of rubber glued to them and t-shirts with swastikas. He's not innovating. He's cosplaying as the world's most offensive Etsy shop. That Kanye is so far removed from the old Kanye that everybody misses. The braggadocious entertainer who thought he was the greatest thing since... Okay, he actually doesn't compare himself to anybody because he often called himself the greatest thing ever, so he never let comparison rob himself of joy because he felt nothing could compare to him. But again, that was the old Kanye. He was making banger album after banger album and getting into beefs that felt like the biggest thing in the world back then. Remember when people thought the wildest thing Kanye did was declare his love for his eventual wife, Kim Kardashian, while she was in the midst of a divorce with then-husband, former NBA player Chris Humphries? Co-Writer was at a game that Humphries played in, and they were booing Humphries every time he touched the ball like he was Joel Embiid in Paris last year at the Olympics. That's damn near cute now when you consider everything that's happened since then. And that's why it's okay to split Kanye and the Yeezys. Now, we understand that might sound impossible because Kanye's imprint was all over his sneakers. He wore them, teased them, debuted them, arranged them in concentric circles for an iconic photo, gave them names that nobody understood. For a good 2 to 3 years, he provided us so much comedic gold by naming sneakers with obscure references that we had to fire up the Google machines and do actual research to figure out why he would name a sneaker after a mineral or a religious figure or a weather system. If there's one segment we miss here on the Heat Check, it's serious PBS-ass Jacques voice explaining the Hebrew origins of a blue Yeezy 700 called Azareth. But now things are different. One minute, Kanye is apologizing for all the dumb shit he said. The next minute, he's expressing his admiration for Hitler. I mean, at least he's not breaking out with the Hitler mustache, saying the ladies are all into him like Alex Jones. But that's like giving the arsonist credit for lighting the house on fire, but having the foresight to not burn down the doghouse too. Like we mentioned, most of us have given up on Kanye and moved on from his sneakers. If you're over Kanye but don't want to ditch the shoes, don't ditch the shoes. Wear them because you like them. Kind of like how people who bought Teslas before Elon Musk bought Twitter and regretted their purchase. But not to the point where they are ditching their S series or 3 series or X series or Y series. Wait, did he just name those lines because of what they spell out? Shit, we are so cooked. Anyways, some people might be consciously uncoupling from Tesla because of Elon, but others like their Teslas because they are Teslas. Co-Writer and I both have friends who own Teslas but couldn't give a less about Elon. It'd probably be better for all of us if everybody paid attention to the news, especially as it relates to someone as consequential as Elon, but I get it. The same applies to any famous luxury brand that's named after a founder that's no longer with us. Gucci Gucci might have founded the House of Gucci in the late 1800s, but this is the first time I've heard of him. I'm going to bet that there's a non-zero number of people watching this who have heard of Gucci. But I'm even more confident they know 4 to 5 people who own something Gucci but don't know about the founder. The point is, 100 years from now, assuming we don't botch the next 3 years and end up like that movie Idiocracy, Nike and Jordan Brand are still going to be around and kids are going to wear the 15th retro of the Jordan 11 Concord and not have a flying who the guy jumping in the air with the legs spread out like a majestic soaring eagle is. Tesla is going to want to remain in business 100 years from now, and there's only so much the blood of a virgin teenager can do to keep Elon... sorry, that's Peter Thiel, who's allegedly into the ghoul shit. My bad. Anyways, if Tesla's still dropping Model 3s in 21, 25, the people who own them aren't going to know who Elon is. They'll probably know the 5,310 grandchildren who are still in litigation over who gets to own the company, but Elon will be a distant memory. What we are saying is, why not start treating Kanye as a distant memory from his Yeezys right now and not even think about him at all? When Kanye was dropped by Adidas in late 2022, there was a genuine fear that Yeezys would be weaponized and used as a symbol of hate. In 2025, we've got so many other things to worry about. Yeezys are the last thing on anyone's mind. Kanye may never say it, but he dropped and pulled an album this year called Bully to numbers that pale in comparison to what he used to pull. And that's got to hurt. Stans who used to predict Adidas' demise with every post on social media have decreased to the point where anybody who even mentions his name now is just sad. Hell, we're kind of sad doing this bit right now, but for totally different reasons. No one cares. Okay, that's not true. And the stands are going to try and call me out for it, the 4 or 5 that are still around and watching. We're just apathetic now to Kanye and the Yeezys, and the apathy is what's going to let you wear them forever. All right, that's going to do it for the show. Thank you guys for watching Hard Pass. I am Jacques Slade. I'll see you next week. If you'd like to possibly be featured in a future episode, call us at 818-493-9325. Leave a short message, your social media if you want, no more than 30 seconds. All right, I'll see you next week. Peace.